Hi, my name is Joachim Sederberg. I'm lead level designer on Darktide for Fat Shark.
My name is Victor Magnusson. I'm head of design at Fat Shark.
So guys, people are finally getting your hands on this game for the first time. What's it like seeing people play your game in the public or semi-public?
Scary. I'd say really, it was super scary the first time.
Yeah.
I mean, really insanely scary. But I mean, the more we've seen people play, the more I feel that as such an immense relief, actually.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's you're always scared since this is like the first time we're showing it publicly. We have only tested it on very, very few people before outside of the company, so you never know what to expect. But I think as time has gone on, and you see people really enjoying it, and especially like with the trailer yesterday and stuff like that, it has been super exciting to see people play, and really sort of humbling and also reassuring to know like, yeah, we're onto something good here. So yeah, it feels really good.
Now, you guys killed the world in Vermintide. It was great. The end times, everything felt good. Was the aesthetic was perfect. Everything was nailed it right on the head. Needless to say, that game was more melee focused. You did have your ranged attacks, your bows and arrows, your spike launchers, that kind of stuff. But now you're going into like full auto, like heavy auto cannons. Like, what was that change like for you to focus on a more ranged aesthetic than melee?
I guess it's a question for you, I think.
Okay, yeah, sure. I mean, we had ranged combat, as you said, in Vermintide, but we knew going into 40k it's a more modern-ish type of ranged combat, so we had to put a lot of effort into it. So I would argue that we put about just as much as time as we put into the melee combat in Vermintide into the ranged combat in Darktide. It was the first thing we started on when we started the project, and we knew right from the start we got to get our game together because we're going to get compared to any modern type shooter. With that said, I would argue that it is sort of a 50-50 still between melee and ranged, although a big change in Darktide compared to Vermintide is that the opposition also has ranged in a way that they definitely did not have in Vermintide. So we had to build like cover systems and things like that for this game for the enemy to really get a really good sort of ranged combat going. So that's a big difference.
The Imperial Guard and the Space Marine Corps have a plethora of weapons, just an absolute plethora. Was it challenging deciding what weapons you could fit in, what weapons you wanted? Were there any weapons that did make the cut that you really wanted in but just couldn't for time or budget reasons?
Should I take that? Yeah. Of course. I mean, the same as in Vermintide, it's like, okay, we have pretty much everything to go, and but we have to limit ourselves. But the cool thing is, I mean, since this is, as Vermintide has been, a game that we will keep working on for, I don't know, as long as the players keep playing. So even the weapons that we can't do now, we will do later. And there were also like the obvious ones that we knew from the start we had to do, like chainswords. You can't do a 40k game without chainswords, so that was the first sort of melee weapon that we started working on. And in Vermintide, the two-handed hammer was our first weapon that we sort of, when we had nailed that one, we knew, okay, we got the melee combat where we wanted. This time around, it was the chainsword. We knew you have to figure out some way of incorporating chainsawing a person, like I don't know what the verb is, but still, a person in first person. How do you do that? And it's so satisfying how it turned out. So all weapons have a weapon special. We had that on some weapons in Vermintide, but now every weapon has it. And on the chainsword, you rev it up, and the next person you hit, it will stick to, and you will saw through them. And it is like the most satisfying thing in any game ever. So yeah.
It's horrible. I mean, chainsawing as a verb, satisfying, sawing people in half. Like, that's our day to day now.
Well, you know.
and these are guardsmen. Astra Militarum is the new name for them. Astra Militarum. These guardsmen, like, they have a huge arsenal, but sometimes they're not allowed to access the Space Marine arsenal. So, I mean, you guys have. I'm gonna do some rapid fire questions, okay? Plasma pistol.
No.
Heavy bolter.
Yes.
Lace cannon.
Yes.
Regular bolter.
No, not cannon, but gun. Last gun.
Regular bolter.
No.
Power fist.
Version.
They're not allowed to have power fists too. That's the thing. That's a Space Marine thing.
It's a different thing for the organ. But
yeah. Storm shields.
Yes, we do. Yes, I think so. I think so. Yes.
Terminator armor.
No.
Space Marine armor.
No.
Heavy Gatling.
No.
Anything from Adeptus Mechanicus.
Do we?
You have to play to find out.
No, yeah, exactly.
We'll have to play to find out.
Yeah, that's true. No.
Let's talk about the world you'll be exploring here. This is the 40k universe is full of rich lore and planets. Obviously they're colonizing systems. You're visiting forge worlds that are built on top of each other. What was it like designing levels for that?
I mean, it's just the same thing as with weapons. Like it's such a huge universe, it's a huge galaxy. So just how do we even start? How do we limit ourselves? There are so much cool stuff to portray here for the first time in some cases as well. So it has been I'm not going to call it a challenge, but it's been a quite interesting experience, amazing experience as well. Like being being trusted to do this thing, because that's basically what we've been. Exactly. We have Games Workshop's trust to do this thing, which is really cool. So, I mean, the story takes place on a planet called Atoma Prime, and inside a hive city called Tertium. So naturally, we had to do the research on what would be the things that you would want to explore in a hive city. And it's kind of the same as in Vermintide 2, where we had Uberstrike as being, in Vermintide 1, the Uberstrike being if there's one setting that we can use, what would be like the one that people would expect? They would expect the sewers, they would expect
Streets.
Streets and the Garden of Moor and stuff like that. So we've basically trying to do the research to do the same thing here. What are the things that we need? We need industries, massive industries. We need to show off where people live, maybe how they go to work, and much more, I'd say.
How deep in the planet are we going here? If you can say.
We don't actually know. Actually.
No.
I don't think anybody that lives on Tertium actually knows where they are, because I mean, a hive city, and our hive city, it's like the size of the United States. So that's pretty damn big.
It's a big
yeah. So, and if you live there your whole life, you've never seen the outside. You have no idea where you are really. You just know that this is where I live, this is where I go to work, and that's the world I know. I've never seen anything else. So for me, this is the entire world. So I don't think people in Tertium even have a clue that they're on a planet, and that there's an outside of that hive city. For them, it's like, this is what the world looks like. I live inside a factory. I make Lehman Russ tanks all day, and I'm happy doing it, and I'll just keep doing that forever. Yeah.
That's very Warhammer of you.
Yes.
So let's talk about the enemies you'll fight in this game. What will we be dismembering and shooting and blowing the heads off of? A lot of poxwalkers I saw.
Yeah. Poxwalkers, and I guess it's enemies of the Empire or the Imperium is a good general term. It's chaos aligned, definitely.
Nurgle aligned.
Nurgle aligned. Yeah, sure. And I guess we have not a split between different factions, but at least we have the Trader Guards is one example. So it's a regiment called the Mobian Sixth that has gone away to the wars, and they come back, and now they are heretics or traitors. So we have those as one, not enemy type. What would you call it?
Enemy variety.
Enemy faction.
A faction, yeah. As well as the poxwalkers and the special enemies.
And we also have some other factions, but we don't talk about them today.
And if you can't say, it's fine. Chaos Space Marines?
No, I think we can say, and the answer is actually no. There are actually no Space Marines in this game.
And
that was a choice we did early on. We want to focus on the more human side, or a more day-to-day person, and how would it be to be stuck in a hive city full of poxwalkers, Trader Guard, and you have to fight to survive as a normal human being instead of being this mega godlike Space Marine.
Right. That's the whole humanized aspect. So this is an elite squad of Imperial Guard, but they're still guardsmen. They're not Space Marines, they're not Terminators. You know what I mean? They go in, they're vulnerable.
Well, you're actually don't actually play as a guardsman. You get to pick from a number of 4 classes. You can go as an Ogre, a Zealot, or a Veteran, and also a Psyker. And the cool thing in Darktide, that is different than Vermintide, is that you actually get to customize your own character. So there's a character customization. So it can be, I want to play a veteran and I want to be a female veteran. There's options for you there. So and another really cool thing is that part of the character customization is also a choice in your personality. So we want to keep our famous banter that we had in Vermintide between the characters, But we also wanted to add character customization. So the last step of your character customization is to pick a personality, and there's a number of personalities dependent on which class you pick, if you pick the male or female version, and that just gives a gigantic number of different voice actors and lines, and everything is unique to your choice. So that's really cool.
We hope that people will be able, our players will be able to play as the hero, anti-hero, I guess, that they want.
Yeah.
Well, the Imperium is an anti-hero, really. It's convert or die. Everyone's anything that's a xenomorph is a heretic.
Exactly. It's like it's not a matter of good or bad. It's just a sliding grayscale down to darkness, like grim darkness.
Now you said Psyker. Are we talking specifics like librarian, perhaps?
I don't know if we've gone down to detail at that, but yeah, we call it the space wizard, sort of, jokingly. But yeah, I don't know. Do you know what a librarian is? I actually don't know what that is.
Space Marine Psyker, basically.
Oh, okay. No. Then no. It's more run-of-your-mill sort of person that has gone crazy with psychic power and is very dangerous for the rest of the Imperium, and now has been
sanctioned.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you treat it kind of like you did the chaos magic in Vermintide.
Yeah, it's very close. Very close. Yeah.
So like we talked about the Poxwalkers and the Nurgle alignment and the kind of the traders. That must have been fun figuring out the enemies in general. Like any down this, there's a plethora of enemies in the Space Marines, and everything that's a Xeno is a enemy to the Space Marines. Did you guys discuss Tyranids at any points? Anything like that in the early development stage?
Obviously it's like, it would be the obvious choice. It's sort of a very sort of easy, what's the word?
Like alien, like down the thing, things stalking you, gene stealers,
Yeah, they're pretty close to like Skaven in a way, and like there's so many of them, and they're like hive-like or like a horde-like type of enemy. But we actually wanted to go with something different, so we went with. I think that was one of our first choices. Like we let's do Poxwalkers as our sort of horde enemy, and from there we then added to. Nurgle, and that's an obvious sort of addition, and then we went to the Traitor Guard as sort of the second choice.
And obviously Tyranids have been covered before, and Gene Stealers as well, so it's like we wanted just to bring something fresh.
I almost thought it was Gene Stealer cultist, like when I first saw him, because everything was kind of shrouded in darkness. I'm like, oh my god, are they doing the Gene Stealer cult thing? But like you went Poxwalkers, and that's still good. Still great enemies to kill, very gratifying to kill, very messy.
And who knows what happens in the future?
Yeah. And that's the cool thing with a game like this, is that we can keep adding to it, and that's a philosophy that we've been using throughout the whole production. Because Vermintide sort of ended up being a game that we supported for a very long time, but we didn't really think about it when we created the game. We just created a cool game, and then people like it. We have to make more of this cool game. But this time around, we knew from the start that we will be supporting this game for a very long time. So everything has been built with that in mind. So it goes to how we designed the VO system, to how we created the missions and the levels, to how we create enemies and how we create weapons and everything. So everything has sort of the mindset of how can we build upon this in the future. So that's going to be really cool. So enemies is part of that.
Where you're exploring the underground terrain of this planet, like what was it like trying to design these corridors so it's intimidating that you don't know where you're going, but at the same time people should know where they're going so they don't get completely turned around and lost?
It's super complex. I mean, as a level designer, it's like one of the challenges. Like we want to give the players freedom to, essentially perform like combat choices, like interesting combat choices, and also lead them away, lead them astray is very important, because we want to keep the team together, but also split it apart. Like finding that balance where people just like, I just want to go over here and pick up this thing, and then they are screwed.
How many different levels will we see? And they're handcrafted, right? They're not procedurally generated.
Yeah. So it's basically the same as in Vermintide 2. Like we're aiming for the same amount, so you could expect something similar. Yeah.
So when does the game come out? What platforms are you aiming for at launch?
We're aiming for, it will be, not aiming actually, it will come out on Xbox Series X and S, and also on PC, Steam, both Steam and Xbox Store, what's it called? And it will Windows, sure, and it will be on Game Pass day one, and the release date is September 13th. Yeah.
Any chance for crossplay on PC and Xbox?
There is a possibility, but we're not promising anything so far.
If you want to support the game, find out more information about it, where can they go?
play Darktide.com.
Yeah.
And as a fun question, because this could have been really easy, because the Skaven are also a 40k army as well as a fantasy army. Did you mess around thinking you could maybe do Skaven again with the Gatling guns and the Doom wheels and all that cool stuff?
You never know.
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible. That's true.